Having backpacked in the Smokies for a number of decades actually and backpacked the Appalachian Trail, when I come into a potential campsite, I look for several things. And the first thing I look at is, are there signs or signposts that have been clawed, chewed upon, that show the animals are in the area? I look to see if logs and rocks are overturned. Has an animal been through recently? Is there fresh soil? Rarely do I see tracks, but I see other indicators of animals in the area. Certainly I look for bear droppings. Certainly I look for droppings of other animals. And when I look into an area, I look first to think, where am I going to place my tent? Is it going to be in a safe area from trees falling? Is it going to be an area that's off the beaten path, if you will, of game trails? Is it going to be an area that may provide the best shelter in terms of wind and rain? In setting up that camp, I'm going to be very certain to not have any food odors or scraps near the tent, near the sleeping area, and certainly no scent of food on clothing or anything that I take into that tent. It's a rule in the park that we hang our food, and there's an elaborate cable system just for that. It's a very sophisticated system, but very simple, that gets the food scent and the visibility up high off the ground. This makes it easier for hikers coming in late at night or in a pouring rain to secure their food. But where often people make mistakes is spreading out too much food when they're preparing it in the evening over a small camp stove. If a bear comes in, they can't gather it up quick enough, and a bear oftentimes wins that discussion and takes the food, and then we've habituated the animal to that particular campsite. So it's very important to get rid of food scraps, boiling water, perhaps boiled water that's had food in it, well away from a tent site area, a campsite area, whether it be a shelter or a tent site, and not having any food scent in the clothing. Folks sometimes are very careful to not carry food into a tent, but they may have cooked in the same clothing that they sleep in or take into that tent. And so that scent is there, and it's a potential risk later in the evening should a bear come about. We always make it a habit to reduce the amount of food that we take into the backcountry in the first place and keep it simple. We make sure that we take all food sources that are going to be discarded well away from the campsite. Then in the evening, we secure our food carefully. We make sure that our pack has no attractant in it. And sometimes people think that that's limited to food, but it's really not. It's limited also to other things that may entice an animal. A person may say, well, a bear's not going to come after Blistex, but Blistex as a product may have a strong enough scent, and it makes the association the bear does with a food source. Bear may have been into a pack and found food and also the toiletry kit. And so it's familiar now with toothpaste, deodorant, and other kinds of attractants that we carelessly take into a tent. So I always make it a sure thing to have clothing that is clean, that there's nothing in the way of gum or a candy snack in a tent when I go into the tent at night. So there's no reason for a bear to come and investigate. They will investigate, and when they approach a tent in the late hours of the night, they're going to win that discussion. And we often fall into the bad end of that discussion. And certainly it's bad for us, and certainly it's harmful to the bear. So we want to do everything we can in terms of keeping a clean camp, and very importantly, a clean tent at night, so that we're not doing anything to encourage activity by the animals that we go to see because we enjoy seeing them and because we treasure that experience with them.